It was a backpacking trip that started in New Orleans, but one that eventually led a young man halfway around the world to a nation in mourning. Now, since last month, 25-year-old Paolo Federico has been working at a cafe in Western Turkey where customers can practice their English. Now, tragically, just 2 weeks ago after he started his job there, a massive earthquake and aftershock hit the country along with parts of neighboring Syria. Paolo joins us now to share some of what he's learned from co-workers and acquaintances in that area. Paolo, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me tonight.
All right. So just to be clear here, you weren't in the location where the earthquake happened, but you do know people that were impacted by it.
That's correct. I actually was in the town of Şanlıurfa just a couple weeks before the earthquake, which has still suffered some major damage. But fortunately, I was away from the epicenter at the time of the quake. However, as part of my job at the Speaking Cafe, I have the ability to talk to many locals who, if not directly affected, everyone here seems to know someone who was affected in a difficult way.
Well, and having those conversations with people who attend the cafe and you work with them, what are they saying about what they're seeing on the grounds of the earthquake? Do we have people that are sharing their experiences? Have you met someone that's lost a family member in that quake? We know that thousands have been killed.
Yeah, unfortunately, just the very next day, a woman arriving at the Speaking Cafe, who the previous night had been having a snowball fight with her and her child, found out that both she lost some family members and much of her hometown had been completely leveled. And as I would go on to talk to a hostel owner I would stay at, as he pointed out, even if someone's apartment or house was not destroyed, it's very difficult now to trust the infrastructure as the ground was rumbling and we saw subsequent aftershocks for the days to come. So there is just an idea of confusion on the ground. It is very, very cold in northern Turkey. It sounds like a warm climate, but really by the epicenter, you have a difficult winter right now and a lot of people without homes.
I was attempting to ask you that we spoke with some people here on the ground in New Orleans, and they were talking about the temperatures right now in Turkey that's making it much difficult when it comes to these search and rescue efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see fresh snowfall here. And you see the ability to have very few housing. I mean, there are a lot of supplies being sent over right now, but there are a lot of people on the streets right now living off of generators, trying to huddle for warmth. And it's just a really brutal situation. Both the winter and the fact the earthquake happened at night when many people were safe in bed, followed by an aftershock of a very similar magnitude just hours later, has combined for a really awful situation. Additionally, it happened in the eastern part of Turkey, which is relatively speaking a perhaps poor region, as well as northern Syria, compared to the western half, which is also slowing down recovery efforts.
Well, I know that right now people are always asking, how can we assist? We had a bar locally, Le Barreau, New Orleans, who donated several materials to people and families who have been impacted in Turkey. What's needed there? What's the thing that you could say people have told you that they need the most of, and how can people help?
Absolutely. And truly, I'm far from an expert here. And all the major organizations, such as Red Cross that you know of, are of course trustworthy. But I asked that friend of mine who lost, relatives in her hometown, what she would recommend as a local, and she recommended the charity ABAP. That's AHBAP.org. It's a local charity with boots on the ground, an NGO. I donated recently using an American card and American phone number with no problems at all. So that's what I would recommend among local charities if people looking to help out. And if you do, all help is appreciated. As I mentioned, it's not a very wealthy area that suffered some major devastation. I think there is, in America, we have major disasters as well, but there's an expectation that through our national government and FEMA, help in rebuilding comes quicker. And the fact is that in this part of the world, it may take longer. And so any help is just exponentially both needed and will be appreciated by some of the most generous locals I've met in my entire life here in Turkey.
All right, Paolo Federico, thank you so much. I know that you're working in that cafe. Hopefully some more assistance can come to people in that portion of the world. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
All right, and please stay safe.